It's a she said kind of love affair.
Is love in the air, or is your relationship on the verge of destruction? Let's talk about it. Sit back,
Relax.
and enjoy your favorite cocktail as we discuss relationships, dating,
Sex.
and love. Love on the rocks, that is.
Love on the rocks. Love on the rocks. Love on the rocks. Love on the rocks.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Love on the Rocks. It is Roger the Wild Child along with Megan Bennett.
Hi,
Megs, what's
Roger.
what's up? So,
What's up?
I know that you're upset about this whole football game thing.
I'm
The
so
Super Bowl coming
mad.
up next week.
The
Why?
Bills got robbed. And I like the Chiefs, don't get me wrong. But the Bills got robbed. That
think
was
so?
rigged if I've ever seen it. And now the crazy thing is I'm starting to see on social media how supposedly, and I mean, with today's AI and stuff, it's so hard to tell if it's like legit. But I've seen
Exactly.
so many posts where people ask Google, like, hey, it's April 2025. Can you tell me who won the Super Bowl 2025? And it says the Kansas City Chiefs played the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Kansas City Chiefs won. It was either 38-35 or 35-31. So if that is the case, I don't want to watch it, but I'm curious to see who wins.
All right, let's get before we get into our topic today, let's bring on our new guest, or not guest anymore. He's actually joined the team, relationship influencer, Greg. Yes.
Right, Greg?
Excited
Good to have you back.
What's up, Greg?
Permanently.
Yes, thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah.
Greg, your thoughts on the what we're talking about with the Super Bowl and the Chiefs and the Bills?
Yeah, as long as Philly doesn't win, I'll be happy. That was kind of my whole thing when it got down to the Final Four. I was hoping Bills, but I'll settle for Eagles losing.
But there's so many dogs on the Eagles right now.
That doesn't help your case.
I know it doesn't. It doesn't.
All right,
But it's just
Crystal,
nice to
your
see
thoughts
them.
on everything.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi.
I knew she was going to say Chiefs.
Yes, I'm picking the Chiefs to win it.
I mean, since we
Yeah,
got to
but it's the
choose
Midwestern
between the Chiefs and
girl.
the Eagles, the Chiefs all the way, but they still robbed the Bills.
I will say this. I have taken the Chiefs every single game except the game that they played the Bills. I did take the Bills.
Did you? I took the Bills too.
Did you?
I did. Because I was like, nah, like
I wanted to see the Bills win. I did want to see them win. I don't
Did
need
y'all
Taylor
see the-
Swift's team.
well, my fantasy league quarterback just so happens to be on the Bills, so obviously I was rooting for them.
Oh,
The gentleman in my fantasy football league referred to me as Mrs. Allen.
Did y'all see the video of Langston like after the game? Did anybody see that?
Didn't see it.
no.
Oh my God. He came in my room, laid down, and was hyperventilating, crying so hard. And all he kept saying was, we just want a ring just one time. This is so 25 minutes. And I'm like consoling him, and I've got my camera because I'm like, oh, this is like one of those moments when he gets older.
Mhm.
I get to show his girlfriend. That just reminded me. I got to tell y'all something about that. But he was heartbroken. He was so heartbroken.
He's got a girlfriend?
So he had a girlfriend. They were coming up on their 1-year anniversary. However, 2 days ago at midnight, she reached out and was like, Miss Megan, I really need to talk to you, just me and you. I said, it's midnight. Are you okay? And she's like, yeah. I said, do you want me to call you? She called me before I could call her. I said, what's going on? I don't want to hurt Langston, but I'm a lesbian.
Oh, how old are these kids?
15.
Oh,
Not even 24 hours later, she's dressing of the opposite sex. She had long hair. Gone, 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 gone. And she doesn't understand why Langston doesn't want to be friends with her right now.
wow.
She can't grasp it. But she said, "Yeah, I like girls. I'm a lesbian." And here I am trying to be like supportive second mom because she doesn't have a mom. She's always looked at me like a mom. So I'm trying to be supportive while my kid is like, "What? Are
Well,
what?"
they're at that age where they're trying to figure out their identity, trying to figure out who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Right.
kind of makes it could be a phase, like a little season,
Yeah, it could
and
be.
you guys be like,
It's
nope,
been a
nope,
long 2
okay.
days with my 15
Tell
year
him to
old.
play his cards right. You never know. That
No,
could be handy in a couple
Uh-huh.
years.
no. He needs to focus on school and baseball like he's been. No cards. No cards.
All right,
Yes.
guys, feel free to chime in the chat room, say hello, let us know where you're watching us from. If you've got any comments or questions, feel free. We'll go ahead and read them on the air. So tonight's topic, we kind of touched this in some episodes a while back, but we're taking it at a little different angle. It's called Growing Together, Staying Connected Through Life's Changes. What does this mean? You're in a relationship with somebody, and all of a sudden the relationship turns to a different direction. They're maybe dealing with alcoholism or a death in the family, or or whatnot, or different things, and they're struggling, and they're having different struggles and challenges in life. What do you do, or what can you guys do together as a couple to keep the love and support going, and
Right.
with each other, you know?
Right.
And I think that's gonna be, that's kinda like gonna be our focus for tonight. I know, Greg, there are different stages that I know that you came up with.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and since you're new to the team, I'm gonna give you the mic and go ahead and the floor is all yours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I took a look at the topic, I kind of came at it from the stages kind of perspective, thinking about like you start out, everything's like new and lovey, and it's like sparks, right? Like you get the
Mhm.
butterflies, and all that kind of stuff, and that fades, and then you get into really like
The
building that.
honeymoon.
Yeah, you
The
get out of the
honeymoon phase.
honeymoon, new relationship, like but you get into that settled. What is it? 6 months, 3 months, whenever they take the mask off, and you start to really kind of see the
6
real
months.
person.
6 months.
You see, huh?
6-month rule.
6 months.
6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah.
So you start building the actual foundation of the relationship, right? And then after that,
Well,
another
that's
6.
when my relationships end, is usually around the 6 to 8 month mark. I think the last 2 relationships I've had, that's when they ended,
A
so
couple days.
yeah, that sounds
A
about
couple
right.
days. A couple days.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't even a relationship. That wasn't even a thing. That was like, okay, you're stupid.
I watched that episode, by the way.
I
Oh,
wasn't
did
gonna
you
touch
now?
on that,
Okay.
Raj, but
I did. And then you
Go
kind
on,
of get
Greg.
into growing pains, right? Like you've established your foundation, and now all of a sudden you start to butt heads, right? And now you're getting into challenges, you're getting into transitions, and you're butting heads about the way you're living or the work styles or just the things. He starts snoring more at night, and it starts to bother you more, or his foot touches your foot, or he whatever. And then it's kind of where you kind of get to your breaking point. It either comes together and you start to grow together, or you kind of drift apart. And then you get into that, if you stay together, you get into that long-term commitment, kind of the parent type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you're successful, hopefully you've got this like renewal after that, right? Like where you just continue to find new ways to love each other, and stay together. Reinvent the couple every few years or every few months or whatever that is to keep the spark alive and keep the relationship there. So those were kind of the stages I kind of saw initially, when I was thinking about this. I think I read the caption wrong, and I think I life's changes. I thought I kind of saw it as life's transitions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like it though. I like the breakdown. I would have never thought.
I find that people are in each other's lives for seasons, right? We talked about this, and like you said, sometimes you learn to drift together or you drift apart. If you drift apart, you know what? You're in that person's life for that period of time. It has, an opportunity for you to grow and learn new experiences and then move on with it, but then
Right.
there's the couple that you grow together and you have that experience and you just keep going and you run, to the finish line with it, so don't look at drifting apart as a bad thing. I mean, yes, it sucks and it hurts sometimes, but there's life at the end of the tunnel. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's definitely not the train coming at you.
There is. There's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. And I've had to learn that. There is light.
I think
Better
we
days.
all have,
Yeah. Yeah. Better days to come for
You always
sure.
go, this is the one. This is the one. I can't believe our life is over. No, no, no. And there's always somebody bigger and better when down the road. And you have to accept that.
Or littler and
You have
better.
to realize.
No, you're
What,
right.
Greg?
You do.
I said, or littler and better. Come on.
Yeah.
I've only felt like
But,
that with one person though. Like life's over. It doesn't get much better than that. And since that ended, I still maintain that fact that
Ooh, and now I want to know who it
that
is.
was a really, really solid. Mistakes were just made. The love was there. It just mistakes were made, and not that we grew apart. It was a communication error on both of our parts, but a communication error. And at the end of the day, I think I hit a milestone where I was like, okay, is this person a blessing or a lesson? Is he here for a season or is he here for like ever? And even though the relationship didn't last forever, like he's still there coming back more than a season, but it's not relationship, if that makes sense at all.
It does.
But we've
come back on new terms.
Right. Yeah. Whereas I used to
It's
think
kind of
life
like, we talked about this before. Can you be friends after a relationship? Okay, the relationship season didn't work, but okay, but we could still maintain a good friendship,
right.
It's like that,
Right.
but we're sticking with the topic here on, we're talking about, couples that are staying, how to stay connected when you're taking that when that one individual takes a separate path, something happens where maybe they start dealing with alcohol. They don't understand who they are anymore. And, they're constantly going to bars and hanging out with the wrong crowd. What do you do as a partner to try to reel them back in?
You don't
Crystal?
reel that shit in, you let it go.
You can't reel it in. They got to reel it in themselves.
Let it go.
As having been that person, you got to let them go and let them reel themselves back in.
Yes.
So we're talking about staying connected through life's changes. And I think there's a couple important things to hit on before just like jumping right on in. So every situation is going to be different and every situation is going to be unique. However, in every story that you guys told, like I've been just sitting back and just kind of listening and observing, it boiled down to communication.
Bingo.
Every single one.
Bingo.
Just going to point that out for starters. But second, we covered it before. you're basically a new person every 7 years. Like that is a real thing. And people grow and people change. And like Greg was saying, like you're either going to grow together or you're going to grow apart. But it is also important to remember that a relationship is a decision. Not every day is going to be 50-50. Like some days it's going to be 90-10 and then reverse. So I don't know. I just come from the like mindset that like you make that decision, and like if your decision is forever with that person, like
You work.
you work at it. It's not always going to be rainbows and sunshine,
100%.
and it's a choice. And
But
yeah.
if you commit to marriage and that person going down the road, you just don't give up on that partner. You know, you're in it for the good and the bad, right? So you know
Even
you're in
without
it to be able
marriage.
to.
Even
Well, see, without marriage, I think that really depends on the relationship itself. Because, like, are you talking about what type of relationship are you talking about? Are you talking about like a
Right.
friendship, a romantic relationship? You know, it's going
Right.
to differ from
in
relationship.
a romantic relationship, you don't necessarily have to be married per se, but I feel like if you are set in saying, okay, I want to do life with this person, then it's worth, you got to put work in the highs and lows and the roller coaster and the hard times and the happy times and the good times. If it's worth anything to you, you put the work in. You don't jump ship the minute that things get hard.
That's true. And
Right.
you also have to understand your partner in the way they like to feel loved. That's really important. And remember, people change every 7 years. Like, or, you're a completely new person every 7 years. So just because something is your love language right now doesn't mean you're not going to have a moment where it might be a little different.
Right.
And it's not just you, it's your partner changes every 7 years as well. So, you both are going to have to learn how to, accommodate to, the changes.
And I think that all boils down to communication.
Exactly. So
you have to be able
talking,
to communicate.
speaking. Mm-hmm.
So as you think about communication,
The worst
Sorry, go ahead, Roger.
Okay, so like with my marriage, so we didn't really communicate. It was like when I was upset, there was no sitting down having a real conversation. She couldn't just sit down and have a heart-to-heart chat. And then when she was upset, then all she could do is text. When she's upset, she texts me. So there was no, sit down, eye to eye, heart to heart, and have a true conversation. It was, I'm not going to talk. And then she went ahead and she would go off and do whatever. And then she would just sit there and text me what she's angry about. And that's just not a healthy thing to do. And you'll find a lot of couples do that,
I find a lot of people do it because I feel like I'm not one of them, because Lord knows my mouth just, if I've got a problem or I'm feeling some sort of a way, it's like, hey, you don't have to listen to me right now, but you're going to hear me. I'm going to speak my mind. But a lot of people, I think, go to the texting because it's easier to put their feelings into words and express it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't do it. Like I said,
it also allows you to think about
what you're going to say. Right.
Because then you get to look at it a little bit. Because let me tell you, sitting back and rereading or just like taking a minute and going back to the text message before I've sent it has done wonders.
Right. And I think
why text the person? I think you're hiding behind the screen and not actually sitting down and confronting the person and, talking
in your
your
situation,
feelings.
yes.
And
like a face-to-face conversation should have happened at some point. But for me, if I'm going to pick out the silver lining, like at least she was attempting to communicate and just didn't completely shut down. At least there was something while it wasn't really effective.
Right.
Now, Roger, did you let her know, hey, I would prefer we talk face to face? This texting isn't.
She's not, that was the biggest problem in our relationship. She didn't know how to communicate.
Okay.
So I couldn't, I couldn't have that with her.
Right.
There's been relationships I've been in where we could have heart-to-heart talks about stuff. She just, she clams up.
Right.
Every time. She clams up every time. She clams up, every time we have an issue,
Right.
so it's just a lot of reasons why the marriage didn't work.
Poor communication.
So
It
Meg,
is.
you hit on a key strategy for communicating, right? Like when you're dealing with a relationship, you just hit one of them. And it's I statements. Instead of saying you always do this, say I feel unheard or I feel
Counseling
deprioritized.
told
Absolutely.
me that too as well.
I always start, I feel this way. This is what's making me feel this
Yep.
way. Whether it's something I'm doing, they're doing, I don't know, but I will be the first one to be like, look, this is what I'm doing wrong. It's making me feel this way. This is what your actions, how they're making me feel. What can we do to resolve it and come to a happy medium and move forward? Because if I'm in a relationship, obviously that person means something to me and I want it to work. I want to grow. I'm a communicator. I don't, probably to a fault.
But is your style of communication the same as your partner's? I'm hearing there's communication styles as well as love languages.
I mean, let's be real. Y'all all know who my ex is. We got different communication styles.
Issues.
Issues.
Yeah.
You were going to use the word issues.
Yeah, they're both.
Love languages is another good
They come in
example.
a package when it
Yeah.
comes to Megan.
With the
I'm
love
drawing you
language,
guys a picture right now, by the way.
speak your partner's love language, right?
It is.
And
Love language does play a
yours, right? Like those are key. You gotta see when they're talking to you in theirs, and you gotta help them see when you're talking to them in yours.
right. Absolutely.
So
So
what
I'm
are the
drawing-
different life changes that couples go through that, makes it difficult
Job
to
changes.
sometimes
Kids,
Before you jump to that,
job changes is one.
I have a picture for you because we're talking about resolving conflict. Okay.
Okay.
It's a chart. A little flow chart.
Okay.
Because I'm having my nerdy moment. Okay. So, and you can look this up online. I don't know who to credit. It's a real thing. I didn't come up with this, but here is. I don't know if is that backwards for you guys.
Honeymoon differences, struggle, repair, endure. I like that.
yeah, that's great.
I
So,
like
like,
that.
obviously,
Yeah,
you all start
I
right
like that.
here, and it's all up in here until something comes along. There's some sort of difference. Whether
Hang
it's
on a second. Here,
disagreement.
let me do this.
I need to take a picture of that. Hold on. Keep it right there.
I could have screenshot it.
Honeymoon differences, struggle, repair, enduring love. And you're
That
back
is
to the
so
honeymoon period
true.
again.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's
So, like, and just pointing out, like, you're going to have the differences, and it's not just going to be like, okay, we talked about it. It's great. Like, there's going to be some adjustment. There's going to be some struggle. There's something's going to change, and change is never comfortable, no matter who's changing. Or maybe you're both meeting in the middle. I don't know. But you have to go through this in order to do this.
to get
and
that.
the repair part to come back to that enduring love. And, like, notice how it's a cycle. It's going to keep happening. So just a nice little graphic organizer for you.
I think with that too, though,
I like
there's
that.
definitely a place for some things. You're just gonna have to accept your differences, right? You're not gonna resolve them. They're just gonna be differences as long as they don't cross a critical boundary for you. You just have to learn to deal with it because you're not gonna
Right.
change everything you don't want about someone.
Might as well agree to disagree on some things.
Like
And
the
just-
Exactly.
Just think about all the crap that you tolerated from people who you didn't actually love. Imagine what you would actually tolerate from somebody you really, truly love.
Don't even get me started.
I think sometimes
So,
we have
let's talk.
tolerance for love because we have such high standards for them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
See,
So,
go ahead.
What, did I hit a nerve?
No, I'm making
Sorry.
fun of myself because I feel like my standards aren't like God, like really high. I just ask for like, but it's so fucking hard for some of these.
Don't
Men.
fuck another girl at the bar, right?
Yeah.
Like the bar is in hell, and so many people cannot meet it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the job changes, because we're talking about the life different changes. People get a new job, they work opposite schedules. Some people are have a job and they're on the road and they're gone all the time. So then you got people that, they question their fidelity, or they don't have the quality time like they do anymore. So let's talk about trying to stay together and stay connected during that challenge.
I
That's a
think
challenge.
that's a big one. That's a big one. That's
That's
like,
a
It
big
is.
next
challenge.
to kids is probably the biggest one, is when you've got, a job that is on the road or takes up 12,
Mhm.
15 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week.
I'll be the first one to say, if I'm with
It's
someone,
hard.
married to someone, and they change jobs, or not change jobs, but move to, like, the job requires out of state or something, I'm out. I'm out. I don't care how much I love you. I'm out.
What if it's a temporary thing where it's going to be a couple years, but then in a couple years you guys can revisit it? Like,
I'll see you in
Right.
a couple years.
wait, but hold on.
If you really loved
Oh,
them,
yeah.
though.
hold on, like legit though, like in my situation prior to COVID, right? Like I was gone every Sunday to Thursday, 45
That's
weeks a
different,
year.
but you would be coming home. I wouldn't be packing up my kids and moving to a whole nother state.
Right, but you can have a situation where, like, they're out, they're, gone 2 weekend, they're home 2
Oh, I
weekends.
can deal with that.
Okay,
I'm just not picking up and moving from
okay, I see what you're saying.
the only home I've known and my kids. I'm just not picking up and moving.
No, that's fair. That's
Like,
fair.
But
you
if
can
it's
fly home
but if
every
it
weekend, every 2 weeks, but I'm not moving.
but if it's for the right person and for the right reasons, are you not gonna be
It
open
could
enough
be a
for
fucking
change?
prince with meeting every check box and then so. I'm not fucking moving.
You don't have to move though. I think that's the differentiating factor, right? Like there's ways to solve that creatively.
Right. There are. Yeah. There's so many other ways. Fly there, him fly home, whatever. But as far as my residential address where I get mail at, it's gonna stay where it's at. I don't care how much.
So, but what if it was the perfect guy, but his kids were somewhere else and they just happen to be younger than yours, and he wants to be with his kids because they're
Fly
younger?
out.
Okay.
I'll see you when you get home. Fly out.
So it's all you
Take
so it's
mine
all about
too.
you or nothing.
Take mine too.
They'll take your kids, but you're gonna stay in Atlanta.
No, he can go. I'm just not. That's a deal breaker. I just
That's a
can't
good-
move.
okay. That's good. That's
I
no.
only have like a really, mom's been murdered, my dad is gone. It's my siblings and I, and Georgia is home to me. Like, it's, I moved here when I was 9. Previous from 9 before is memories I don't want to remember. This is home for me, and this is where this is home to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to me, being close to my siblings, especially not having my mom and dad.
So
Right.
Megan is vetoing any guy who will not move
here.
her.
Get on a plane and come home, but no, I'm not. My residential address is staying the same.
Your take on this, Crystal?
I mean, it depends on the person and the level of commitment. So,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
like, as far as like packing up and moving your whole entire life, like that requires a certain level of commitment.
And I've never met anybody that's worth that bullshit. Maybe that's why I'm so strong in it.
As far as like working a lot or having like a like high what word am I looking for? Somebody help me out here.
Like stress, like high stress.
Like high stress, very involved
band.
type of job. Like it's going to depend on the couple and their dynamic. Like I
Right.
think that's great because like I have my own stuff going on that I got to do, that I got to concentrate on, that if I'm concentrating on, work really intensely for a couple of days, like I may not be able to then also concentrate on my relationship. But if my partner has their own stuff that they're concentrating on, I mean, that's kind of like a win-win.
Healthy
Win-win.
balance.
Right.
Yeah, healthy
Mhm.
balance, right?
Yeah.
You can both go do your thing and then have each other's time together.
Yeah. So like if now I see it being a problem if one partner has like a high stress job that takes up all their time and then the other doesn't, or doesn't have hobbies or friend groups or whatever that keep them occupied. That could be a problem. So like when people lose their identity in the relationship and there is
Right.
no
Problem.
them outside of the relationship, that's where it becomes a real problem. Otherwise, like I said, it's a choice. Like if you want to make it work, you'll make it work.
Right.
Yes. Yes. What about you, Roger?
Mhm.
Would you pack up and move? And
He just did.
not for a girl.
Right.
He can speed date back in Idaho.
It's all situational. No, but it's all
Mhm.
situational. It all depends on I mean, I moved to Texas for a job, and I moved my kids
Right.
down there.
Right.
But if I'm with somebody and they had an amazing opportunity and it was going to benefit both of us, and it would be sit down, talk with the kids, get their feelings on the thing. I'm not going to sit there and make them move like that across the United States without my kids' feelings in the matter. But
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
all parties need to talk about it,
Mhm.
and then and see about because it's not about my feelings, it's about my kids' feelings. So,
Right.
I'm not gonna just sit there and I'm not gonna go pick up and move to be with somebody, right?
Right.
So there's got to be a reason behind it, and if there's something that's really supportive, that's a benefit to that person, and if I love that person enough, and I'm in a position like if I'm working from home or something, you know, yeah, why not? I mean, if I've got a career in where I'm stay put, in Texas, and they got a career opportunity up there, I have to have a come to Jesus and find out whether or not, I want to give up my career for that person to support their career, or if we just got a fork in the road and
Right.
our season is over.
Right.
So, Roger, you
Yeah.
just reminded me, and Meg, I wanted to tell you this earlier, but we know you don't ever want to move anywhere.
No.
So, parents, if you've ever wanted to move out of state, just wait until your teenager's first big heartbreak and then ask them after that if they would want to move. Because like teenagers will usually be like, no, I don't want to leave my friends. If you ask them right after their first big heartbreak, they will move like that.
I need to ask Langston.
Right?
I need to
See if
ask
he wants to move to a
Langston.
different state right now.
Yeah.
Right, with no
I'm
lesbian.
curious to know that.
Mhm. Well,
I don't.
let's
I just
talk
can't
about that
imagine.
though.
Sorry. Because you're
can't
talking about
imagine.
like considering your children's feelings, which you absolutely should.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Maybe I've
So
never been with anybody that's made it worth like even the thought of moving and uprooting my kids and my life here. Like I've not met
Mhm.
the one person I did meet like is a Georgia resident, so there's no problem there.
Right.
Yeah, I just haven't. Yeah, can't imagine.
Maybe you haven't visited the right
Another
Greg thinks you need to travel more.
Listen, I used to live in
Yeah.
Paradise, and Oregon and Port Orford is paradise.
I would never live in Oregon.
You're
It's beautiful.
fucking
It's
nuts.
beautiful, but I don't like rain 300 days a year.
Oh, I don't either, but I like the scenery and the solitude and the whales and
Whales.
yeah,
Fair enough.
It is beautiful though, but I don't know if I can handle all the rain.
it sucks. Rain does suck
Mhm.
there. What
All right.
about illness?
Illness in a relationship, that's definitely a life change.
Mhm.
It could be somebody, going through the C word. It could be a loss in somebody suffered a loss in the in the family. There's a lot of different life-changing events that do happen. But, let's talk about the illness part of it. You find out that your partner is really, really sick. They can't work anymore. The pressure's on you now financially. That could take a toll on a relationship. And it's like, you don't want to give up on that person because they're going through that, going through what
Right.
they're going through. And you're dealing with a whole new different level of stress. So the honeymoon period is definitely over at this point. But how do you work with that partner and stay connected with that person and have that relationship just continue to grow? I think more or less it's all about, are you strong enough yourself that you can accept what your partner's
Right.
going through?
Right. Right. Thankfully, I've
I
never been in that
couldn't
situation.
justify leaving somebody.
I can't either.
I know it happens, and we
Mhm.
did a stat on this before. It's actually a majority of men will leave their partner if the woman is sick. That's
Yes.
the most
That's
differences.
the consensus. Yeah.
I just
Mhm.
can't see that.
I can't fathom that thought.
So I haven't dealt with that side of it, but I have been through the illness side of it. Now I was single at the time, but
You're the one that made me think of this. Yes.
I've got cirrhosis of the liver, and at one point, I did not think I was going to live a few more months. There was some confusion with the doctors and my condition, and I was in
It was
ICU.
scary.
So I can say that all the people in my life were supportive and have been supportive since then. And even my kid's mom, like it had no impact, negative impacts to our relationship and ability to like. I think it's even made it easier
Yeah.
for us to parent most of the time. But it's one of those things where I can get an infection and I could be in ICU, and like last time, my hemoglobin was down below the coma level, so I was at 3.9, and at 5, you shouldn't be awake. So yeah, and my bone marrow was not creating blood from an pneumonia infection. I'd been through 3 different what do they call those things? The antibiotics. I've been through 3 different antibiotics and nothing knocked it out, and it just destroyed me. So
Wow.
I can't speak for like how I would react in the same scenario, but I can say that everybody in my life was strong through that and has been there for me with it and supportive of the changes I've had to make in my life.
Right. I just can't imagine leaving someone I'm with or care about. And I know that's such a burden on the dynamics of a marriage or a relationship, but I don't know. I just can't. I don't have that ability in me to be like, oh, well, you're a stressor. I'm out. Like,
It took me 2 years after getting diagnosed to even start dating, right? Like I didn't put that burden on somebody else. I wasn't healthy, didn't know where I was going to be.
right.
So I didn't want to put that on somebody else. So I took myself out of the pool for a long time.
I can understand that.
Yeah, me too.
So, what are some other stressors? We've got jobs, illness, kids.
I think kids, but then also like it's kind of on the same thing as sickness, like major events with your kids, like dealing with things that bullying.
Oh,
Or what if you are in a relationship with somebody, you decide to get married, and you each have your own kids, and you're uniting them as one family.
and they don't like each other.
So that and they don't like each other. There you go.
But
But it's like
brothers,
that's a life change.
But
It
why
is.
are you just finding out when you're getting married that they don't like
Bingo.
each other?
bingo.
Here's the thing: you really shouldn't care whether the kids like each other or not. Like that's not a deciding factor for me. Like the kids don't like each other, that's gonna suck when they're around each other. But my partner's my partner.
I think a lot of it is the age, though. Like if they're young kids and they don't get along, that's a lot. But if they're like Langston and Easton's age, which I've been through this with Matt, my kids despise that human sack of shit with everything in them. They despise him. They loved his kids, but they despised him. And it was like, we're not talking to him. He can say hey, and it goes in one ear, right out the other. They're going to keep staring straight. And I'm not going to force them. Like, now I get it. Now I get it. But I don't know what I would have done. Actually, I do know what I would have done. If his kids and my kids wouldn't have gotten along, I wouldn't have stayed.
Was he not worth it?
He's
Or-
no, fuck no, nothing. He's not worth the air he breathes. No. He's absolutely not worth it.
I don't think I know who we're talking about, so
Yeah.
I was just asking the question.
Yeah.
Because I like I said, my kids don't have to like the person, but
I think just age plays a big factor in it.
Yeah.
Age plays a big factor in it.
I think it's all about taking the.
Go ahead, Rob.
I think family counseling would be important.
Yeah.
You know, you want to get together with a family counselor, be like, okay, we're bringing two families to one. How do we cope? You know, because, you know, the kids may not like that. And yes,
But
you
what
do
do
need
you do
to
if that
consider their
counseling
family.
isn't a positive outcome? If it doesn't help, then what do you do?
Well, I think you got to figure out the reason they don't like them, right? Like sometimes it's just because they only see their mom and dad together, and that's not maybe not a possibility for either the mom or the dad, right? And that no partner is going to ever be good enough in that scenario. It depends on what the reason is.
Right. Good point.
I think it depends on the age of the kids,
Mhm.
each parent's caretaking role with their kids, because they may not each have equal time and that sort of thing. You know, everybody's agreements are different, but yes, your partner's your partner. But at the end of the day, if you're talking long-term in marriage, that's a family. It's, you know, so that's why dating with kids is so hard. I think we've all said, like, we have kids, like I have a kid, but I don't necessarily want to date somebody else with kids. Because it creates a whole different dynamic that you do have to consider.
Right.
You know, and you're talking about, like,
I wouldn't mind dating somebody with kids, but not like if the kids are 2 or 3 years old and they're infants anymore. If they're teenagers, the same age as my kids, I'd be open to that. But, you know, I get it. I mean, I'm getting older. I mean, I'm 53. I'm not looking to start raising kids again. I want to enjoy my grandkids right now, not my, you know, somebody else's.
I think a big problem with it in
4
kids,
granddaughters.
like, meshing well is, say one parent isn't really I don't want to say not a disciplinarian, whatever that word is, and that other parent is, that plays a massive
parenting style. Absolutely.
parenting style
Absolutely.
in it. If you don't have similar parenting styles, you're fucked.
True.
You're fucked.
But that's also something that you probably should have discussed
ahead of time
and worked through prior to the relationship getting that far. Like,
right.
I don't know. I think a big problem is when people rush into things, and then all those key discussions and topic points are missed. You know, so timing's everything, especially when you're bringing little people into the mix. You know, I don't know.
I agree with you. Matt and I are the perfect example of that. Crystal, you know, we rushed into it, and then it was like, boom, the volcano exploded, and it came to light, like, very, very vividly, that he was a piece of shit, and I would never co-parent. I could never. I bless his baby mama's hearts, because I could never.
Baby
and had I taken time to realize that, it wouldn't have gone anywhere.
If you had just taken your time,
period, it wouldn't have gone nowhere.
Not trying to.
But that's why we got annulled in 49 days, because never again.
Remember, it's 6 months at minimum. 6 months. That's after that, it gets hard to continue lies and pretend to be somebody that you're not. So 6-month rule.
Yeah. True colors are going to show at 6 months.
They do. Yeah. The honeymoon period is over, and the true colors do come out. Absolutely.
You just have to decide what you deserve, what you're going to fight for, what you're willing to go through and deal with that person. But it's communication. You have to communicate about all of it
prior to
prior to
merging as a family.
Yes. Yes.
Prior to and continuing through,
Well, you
and I
got
think,
it. You got
yeah, and I think we out of all the life changes that we're talking about, we keep going back and circling back to communication. I
Mhm.
think that if there's no communication, you don't have a relationship, right? And if you can't work through the challenges that the person's going through, we talk about illness. What about you have your partner has a loss in the family. They lost a parent and they're struggling over that. You don't want to be insensitive for that, but it's really taking them down a dark road. What do you do as a partner to be able to support that person?
Yeah, I don't know what that's like. When my mom got murdered, I was married to the boy's dad. And the morning of her funeral, when
Mhm.
I was picking out my clothes for her funeral, I sat in my closet and cried because I was like, why am I picking out? I should not be picking out clothes to wear to my mama's funeral. And Ding Dong comes in and
Mhm.
says, I wish I could be there for you, but I can't. And I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, and this was January 20th. He was like, oh, I've been
Mhm.
sleeping with so and so since Christmas.
Oh, wow.
What? This is how you handle my what? Yeah.
That was a
Right?
very interesting
Yeah.
day.
So because of
People
that, my point
people
in saying that, any major event that I go through, like since then I've lost my sister. My sister died of a heroin overdose. Um, my best friend Tracy died of stage 4 breast cancer. And I keep those emotions bottled in because when I lost my mom, I went off the deep end in every which way. I didn't go to drugs or alcohol, nothing
Mhm.
like that. It was just I was not okay.
Yeah.
And since then, like I'll communicate about it, but I don't the nitty-gritty of it. I won't put that on someone
Mhm.
else's shoulders. I won't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
hear
don't know
you.
what that's called, but I just don't. I would assume deal with it on my own, even if I'm in a relationship. Like I just don't put it. I don't know. I'm fearful.
And if you love the person enough, you're gonna want to sit with them. You're gonna hold their hand.
Right.
You're gonna have empathy for what they're going through. You don't want to
Right.
just sit there and ignore. And I know a lot of people are just like, "Oh, this is too much for me. I'm out." But
That's my fear. Yeah.
if you look, yeah. And so, but if you love that person enough, you need to be able to help them through tough times because you know what? You're gonna go through tough times. And who are you gonna want by your side? Your person.
Right. Right.
I think too, knowing what kind of support they need is important. So I think
Mhm.
people shy away from situations like that in supporting their partner in situations like that because they don't know what to do.
They don't know how to
Or
support.
what
Yeah.
they would try isn't necessarily what
Right.
their partner wants. Sometimes they want you to try to solve the problem. Sometimes they want you to make them feel better. Sometimes they just want you to be there. So I think establishing exactly what your partner wants and communicating.
Communication. I was just about to say that. Yep. It all goes back to
Go
communication.
back to that word. Yep, it's all about communication.
It really is.
At the end of the day. Because
Staying
sometimes like when
connected.
you're upset, like just let me be dramatic and sit here and just, be
Yes.
by my side while I get it out of my system and then I'll be fine. But
Mhm.
other times, like I want to rant and rave and I want you to give me solutions. Other
Mhm.
times I just want you to listen to me like rant and rave. So and it depends on the situation, but knowing what your partner wants as far as support might be super helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a
Yeah.
huge one. This was an
Absolutely.
enormous problem in my relationships. Because I'm a fixer, right? Like that's what I
Mhm.
do. So what we went through when we were going through therapy, like really it came down to setting the expectation up front. Is my project to listen to you or is my project to fix the problem? Set that boundary for me so that
Oh.
I know what my goal is in this. If I'm just listening and I'm gonna be like, yeah, she's a bitch. I got it. I can do that. Or it's okay, here's how we can attack this, right? Like
Mhm.
here are different things. Have you thought of
Mhm.
this? I can look at it and I know what my goal is at the end. If you don't tell me what my goal is, I'm gonna guess and assume and it's gonna be wrong and you're gonna be mad. So if you tell me up front what you need me to do, just listen and validate, or if you need me to fix it.
And you are really fucking solid about that. I will
Yep.
say you are super solid about that. 100%.
You just got to tell me what you need from me. And
Right.
that is, I can visualize what that is. If you don't tell me, we're in trouble.
Right.
See, and I gotta say, like, I know a couple fixers that I forget to warn them before I start. And then they start talking. I'm like, shut up. Like, just listen.
Just let me get
I've
it out.
already done the thing you're about to suggest. Let me finish my story.
Yeah.
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 Being a guy and ADHD makes that 10 times worse for y'all, you know, it's dealing with us. So, yeah, I get it.
It's the ADHD and hormones
Oh.
for me. It really is.
I believe you.
My hormones and my ADHD. 1 minute I'm like, oh yes, I want to vent, and the next moment I'm like, don't fucking say a word. Just sit there and listen.
It's called bipolar, Megan.
I'm not bipolar. I just.
We're not diagnosing Roger.
What is the word?
I'm not a doctor, so don't worry about that.
Oh my God, the words on the. I'll think of it in a minute.
So as we discussed today, there's several obviously different life changes that people go through or couples go
Indecisive.
through.
Indecisive.
Oh my God.
I'm indecisive.
Okay,
Maybe that's not the right word, but that just popped in my
I
head.
mean, you
Carry
are
on.
indecisive. This is
I
true.
am.
It's not inaccurate.
Not.
We're talking about staying connected through life's changes.
Yeah.
yes.
Communication.
That
So,
communication.
no, this is definitely a good episode. I mean, we definitely hit some really good points here. I mean, some great conversation. Greg, we're excited to have you join the team officially and not be the guest, Greg.
You fit in so good, and I love your views on stuff.
Well, good. I'm excited
I mean,
to be
maybe
here.
not always,
Yes.
you know that, but
And now we
99%
know
of
that
the
you're
time.
not going to jump in and start trying to fix things.
Yeah.
I know that is not my role.
Is this Greg with the dog?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the snoring Frenchie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Greg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is that little booger?
He is in the other room. I
Oh,
can't.
I don't hear him snoring.
No, yeah, he's in the other room. He's had enough today.
He's so cute.
You know what's funny?
Crystal, I gotta tell you, I came home earlier and I walked in the garage, and me and Langston we heard something. We were like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Mom, did you hear that?" I was like, "Yeah, did you hear that?" And he was like, "Wait a minute, it's a squirrel." And I'm thinking, "Oh, cool. I've been feeding all these baby squirrels out in my yard, so maybe one of them came to say hello." Chopper got out of my house and was hanging out on the rafter. Yeah. He came over to me like scaring over, shaking, terrified. I don't know. He didn't leave my garage. I don't know how he got out. I think Easton accidentally let him out when he came in from school. I don't know what just made me think of that. Anyway.
Because you're talking about Greg's dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's sleeping in the other room. We didn't get
All
to
right,
see.
guys. Well, we will be back next week with another new episode. Crystal, you're going to be out. Lydia should be back. Greg, you'll be here. And I know Megan will. So
I will be here with
I
my
don't have
bells
to doubt
on.
that. You will, of course.
Of course.
So, all right, guys, thank you for watching and listening. Make sure you guys share and restream the broadcast on all major platforms. Thank you, guys. Have yourself a great night.
Thank you.